All right, what do we got going on today? Well, we're working on the Beamer today, specifically the front bumper. I've already shortened up this bumper about 3 inches. It kind of has a little bit of the, the Euro fill, but this is a E28. And what we're going to be doing today is taking this rubber trim on the front of the bumper, and we're going to be getting this rubber trim to sit flush with the top of it. I've already modified this. I've shortened it up about 3 inches. And if you own one of these, a lot of people call these the diving board, but it looks a lot better bringing that in, Frenching it, and just giving it a smoother look. I've actually cut quite a bit out of the bottom. I've used all the stock mounts and re-welded them, repainted them. It almost looks factory, but it just looks really good, and that's kind of what we just need to work on today, is getting that front piece just to sit flush there. The bumper is not secured on here. I've had to pull this thing off, probably 30 times, off and on. But once I get that off, I'll show you how I did the mounts, and then we'll go from there. But let's knock this out. Yeah, that'll work. So we're gonna use this, and let's see what hardware we have. Let's grab some here. Alright, I think one of these are open already. Yeah, so we're going to use this and this. Alright, so these are just some machine screws that we have, 1/4 inch. So we're going to use this and that. And like I said, we're going to cut a piece from here, here, and here. Hopefully this might be enough. This is all the flat stock that I have. That's galvanized. Really don't want to weld that, but if we have to, we will. But, all right, let's get started. All right, so let's go ahead and get this moved out the way. And set up. Okay, so what I originally wanted to do is I wanted, a strip of metal to go run from the center all the way here. I'm not going to be able to do that because I don't have the material that I need. So what we're going to do is we are actually going to probably cut these to about 8 inches each, and then we'll evenly set these up where I need this to come down. I don't need it to go the entire way, but I figure about every 8 inches I'll need to have somewhere to hold this down. So to make this material work, we're going to cut these down to size and go from there. So we got all the plates cut out, And now what I'm going to do is go ahead and weld in that hardware where the holes are. But before I do that, what I'm going to do is take this plastic trim off. I'm going to mark this trim before I weld in the studs. If I weld in the studs and then try marking these holes onto the bumper, it's going to be a freaking nightmare. So before we weld those in, we want to take off this plastic trim, go ahead and mark those holes. We'll weld them in and then go from there. All right, so I've got everything laid out, and this is kind of where that trim is just sitting with nothing on it right now. So, like I said, we're gonna weld in that hardware, and then it's gonna bring this trim down and just keep it flush. So what we're getting ready to do is we're gonna take this off now. I've got everything marked where I need it. I'm gonna lay everything here on the floor, pull this trim off, and then we'll go ahead and mark it. Oh yeah, and if you've made it this far, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Appreciate all the support you guys give me, I really do. Okay, so what we have here with the bumper, I'll show you guys. So, like I said, stock mounts, we're still using those, but all I did was just took the meat out of here, shortened it up, and then I actually re-welded it back, painted it black. So these are the stock mounts. Everything is still factory on here. I just shortened everything up, and that's how I brought everything in a little bit closer to the nose of the vehicle. Okay, now on the bottom of the bumper, I had to start from here and cut all of this meat out for this bumper. Now the reason I cut that out is shortening up these bumper mounts here. It was a pain in the ass to kind of get this back on and mount all the bolts up correctly. So cutting the meat out of that bumper right there, it's a pretty easy install on here. If not, you know, it'd take about an extra hour, hour and a half just to get these two bolts, and those two bolts off. All right, so what we'll do now is go ahead and just take this off, loosen those, that one right here. One right there by the emblem. There's another one. And we're just going to loosen all these up. Okay, so we had 8 bolts, 4 on this side, we have 4 on that side. So what we can do now is just go ahead, the trim will just slide off. And get that off, and then we're going to put this bumper back on, and I'll show you where the mount points are. Alright, and we will set this back on here. Mounts. So if it doesn't fall, set this up real quick. Okay, so for the most part, I have everything laid out kind of where I want it. I'm going to go ahead and mark my holes and get those marked, drill those out, and then we have the hardware here. I'm going to go ahead and probably shave the top of these, have everything prepped to weld. We'll mark the holes, get the hardware cut, and then set it on there and go from there. All right, sweet. So holes are marked, ready to go. So we're going to drill our pilot holes, and we'll come back, do the 1/4-inch holes. Like I said, you want to drill those holes first, because if you were to mount those plates on and then try setting that trim right here onto the top of the bumper, it'd be a little difficult. This is way easier. It takes a little more time, but it does save time and heartache in the end. Okay, so here are the bumper trim pieces. We have all the hardware in. Now what I'm going to do is just tack the tops of these, and then I'll grind them down. They don't have to be completely flush, but We will just grind them down just a little bit to take a little bit off, but yeah, let's go ahead and burn them in. Hardware is burned into the plates. This is for the top trim, but this is where everything's going to sit right now, so it's looking pretty good. I did grind down the tops. I didn't go too far because the adhesive I'm going to be using is going to have about 1/8 of an inch build up on the bumper trim, so that should be good. But yeah, that's ready to go. Plastic trim piece is ready to go back on. Let's see what this is going to look like. Okay, like I said, so those plates are going to be mounted up under there, and then we'll grab some adhesive, but yeah, everything is looking good. I think we are ready to go ahead and lay that down. I'm going to go ahead and prep the top and bottom of this bumper. On these trim pieces here, what I'm going to want to do, obviously we're going to clean this up really well, but we're going to want to either score or sand the bottom of this with some really rough, probably like some 36 grit sandpaper. Give us a nice buildup so that adhesive can sit on there, and then throw that on, and then that'll be the last time that bumper should be coming off for a while, but yeah. Alright, so that was a busy couple of hours hooking up the bumper, but it is ready to go. So what we're going to do in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and prep the top trim piece. Like I said, we're going to sand the bottom of that, get that ready to go, and then the adhesive we'll be using, I'm going to want to let that set up for a full 24 hours before I go ahead and put it back on the bumper. But other than that, the front bumper's ready to go. We're going to do the same thing on the back. On the back bumper, it's going to be a little different. We have some more gaps that we got to work on, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue. And the main thing that I'm seeing on the back here is we're going to have an issue with that back piece, but I got some ideas. And in these bumpers, it's a night and day difference, and I'm just working with what I have. You know, my dad wants something kind of cool, and I can hook that up for him. But thanks for being here. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Central and 20.